you engaged in a classic kickboxing battle with Don the Dragon Wilson in 1983. The stage was set in Japan, and you two met each other. What do you remember of that classic battle?
Everything. That just shows you my age. I still have it. I remember everything about that fight. Now, if you want to know the details, it was a learning experience for me as a young up-and-coming fighter. Don, at the time, had quite a few fights over me. He only had 7 when I fought Don. No, excuse me. So maybe 10 or 11 fights. So it was more of a, he was the guy that kind of helped me go to the next bump in this business of fighting to become the world champion after that. So it was a great time. Don we became good friends, and actually I looked at him like an older brother. But it was a good experience for me.
And you made the transition into mixed martial arts by fighting in pancrase and rings, and you took your lumps. You compiled a 4 wins and 7 losses record, and then you entered in. No, what was your record there over in Japan?
In pancrase, it was 1 and I think I won 1 and lost to Boss twice, and lost to Ken, and then if you count the other companies' rings, I lost a couple in rings, and then I also won a couple in rings. And you count UWF, I won 1. So the thing I had to get clear here is my actual record, my actual MMA record at this point now, MMA, I don't consider rings and pancrase and UWF as mixed martial art. I consider just mixed fighting. So my actual MMA record is it's actually 10-5.
After you competed over in Japan for a period of time, you joined Battlecade Extreme Fighting, and the stage was set for you in the finals of a tournament there where you faced a Carlson Gracie black belt by the name of Marcus Conan Silveira. Describe what happened in that fight.
Well, for me, this was my first MMA fight, and at that time, keep in mind I've been fighting since 1980, and this is 1996. So in regards to me having, by that time I had about close to 100 fights, no, maybe 90 fights. So I wasn't nervous of the fight because I trained for it very well with Frank. And my biggest moment of the fight for me was not so much knocking him out, because to me that's kind of par for course of what I do in fighting. It was just reversing him from me being on the bottom to me being on top. That was to me the biggest thrill. The knockout was, like I said, it's not uncommon for me to potentially knock people out or not, but it was more exciting that I reversed a jiu-jitsu guy in his game. So it was a exciting time. And then the funny thing about all this really is that my popularity became more known in America through MMA than in kickboxing. By the time I got 16 years in the business by that time, and not very many Americans knew of me or heard of me unless they follow kickboxing, religiously.
Yeah, because you had basically cut your teeth, as you said, in kickboxing. You fought some of the best in the world, Peter Arts, Ernesto Host. You were in the first K1 battle, but your fame in the United States didn't really come into being until much later. Now, in between the kickboxing career and your fame in the UFC, you had joined forces with Frank Shamrock. Frank Shamrock, how much influence did he have on you as a mixed martial artist, and how much influence did you have on him with his striking?
Well, the original thing was first Kid and I, his brother, were going to trade system. He helps me with grappling, I help him with striking, but what happened is he ended up getting pulled over to the WWF at the time. So he pawned me off to Frank, and then Frank and I, we just meshed well. I mean, he's, without a question, he's the reason why my grappling at that time for sure, got to the level where it was, where I can compete. And then same thing for him. I think what Frank got from me was primarily some striking ability, but conditioning. He was a conditioning machine. So we traded off in a lot of ways, but he's been very instrumental to my grappling without a doubt. I at the time was only focused on worried about being mounted or rear naked choke, because that's all everybody kept talking about. Don't get mounted and don't get rear naked choke. He says, don't worry about that. Those are really not the things that much to worry about. So it kind of actually made me relax about a lot of stuff, because those are, again, at the time, the big things everybody all knew what was supposedly so dangerous in the sport of MMA. So he taught me a lot in that respect, and he's.
So they brought you in, UFC 13, I believe it was. You were going to face Mark the Hammer Coleman, and you were a huge underdog going into that fight. Tell us what transpired in the fight, and do you think that you changed the course of technology in mixed martial arts?
Well, again, by the time I fought Mark, yes, I was an underdog, but again, it's another fight for me, so I wasn't nervous or what have you. The thing that I think came out of it is that people, they credit me to help change the idea that strikers can compete in this business. I believe a few other people have done it before me, but I just happen to be the one with the bigger name at the time to get the credit for that. But I think it just made people realize you have to be in shape, and that if you have good striking, you can still do MMA. And I think that the problem I find with MMA now is that the only part that people are weaker at is still striking. Grappling, when I say it, don't take it out of context, it's easier to learn, but striking is where only a few people are really excelling in it. And even the ones who are excelling aren't really as good as they could get, as they could be. But I think people give me a lot of credit for that. I look at it as just, it was another fight, and that was basically it.
There's a new era of mixed martial arts coming through, and in sports in general, there seems to be a problem with performance-enhancing drugs. We see baseball players getting busted, they're hitting home runs and beating records. We see cyclists, we see Olympic runners, but we also see it in mixed martial arts. Right. Fighters are getting busted more and more, and some fighters are not getting busted but are still suspected of it. Mm-hmm. What is your opinion and take on testosterone replacement and performance-enhancing drugs?
Personally, I don't really care. I look at it this way: if you don't have the base skill set, that's not gonna you're not gonna win because you're taking steroids or whatever else you're taking out there. You gotta have a base. It's gonna make you stronger, yes. Let's take for instance Barry Bonds and guys like him who were being accused of taking steroids and what have you. The bottom line is, if there's 1,000 players in baseball, right? And every one of them taking some kind of performance enhancement drug, but only 20 or 15 are being the stars. It just tells you taking the steroids aren't going to make you a better athlete. So that goes for the same thing for fighting. Now, I will say probably for biking, the Tour de France issue guys, I think they need it. That's a heck of a ride. So I don't have a problem with them taking whatever they need to take to do that ride. That's an incredible ride. And naturally, it would probably be very difficult to do. But for MMA, if you're injured and you need it to help yourself heal, fine. But is it gonna make you a better fighter? No. You may look better, you may be stronger, but you don't have if your base skill set is soft, you're gonna be a little harder, but your skill set's not gonna help you win a fight. So I don't even think it's a big issue really. Now if you got two guys that are equally good, but one's on steroid and one's not, and it's the same intellectual fighting style, same heart, then it's going to be a harder fighter for the guy that's not on any kind of performance enhancement. But that's rare. That's a rare thing, and I don't think it's going to make a fighter. Like I said, I'm 99%, 100% sure you're not going to be a better fighter. You may be a little bit stronger, but you're not going to. I mean, you can see all the guys that look like they may be on steroids or something. They're not all winning the fights. The fights, all it takes is a punch or a good submission skill set to do well in this business. So I have no problem with it. You guys can take it if they want to. I don't really care.
Maurice, it's a pleasure talking with you again. Thank you so much for the interview.